In Africa, youth represent 60% of the whole population and is very important as far as the development of the continent is concerned. Unfortunately, it is noticeable that due to certain facts, they have become source of problem instead of being source of development for the country. In today's episode on the Daily Trend Francophone edition on New World TV Info English, we are going to discuss about youth, their hope for the Africa continent by 2030. So,
Benedict.
Yes?
What do you mean by youth are the source of the problem?
I mention it and I explain it. Yes.
In order to talk about that, I'm not trying to say I'm disagreeing with her or I'm agreeing with her totally. But there's one thing that since more than 70% of Africa's population is less than 30 years old, it means that most of the things they say or most of the actions that they actually take is the kind of thing that affects the development of the continent as a whole. So if this thing that they do is going to affect the continent as a whole, if they do something positive like taking initiative to become entrepreneurs and stuff like that, it's going to affect the development of Africa as a whole.
All right, it's just what I mean.
So that's the same way when they do negative things as well. It's also going to affect the development of Africa.
But I'm not sure right now. I'm not sure right now that youth are doing something that is affecting negatively the continent that we, make him not develop. Or I'm not sure. Youth are not doing anything.
And when talking about the problems that are caused by those very youth,
like what?
In Africa,
youth are not doing it. Is the government, not the youth? They are not doing anything.
But everybody has a role to play in the development
I do accept
of a country
that. I do accept.
Or the development of a continent.
Do accept.
So in this situation, there's one main, first of all, the first problem that is causing this kind of undevelopment in Africa. And this problem is something that about 95% of the time is the main problem. That's unemployment. Why do I actually say unemployment? Because in this situation, if the youths are not employed, for example, let's say in South Africa alone, we have the rate of like 34.4% rate of unemployment. And why do they have this much high unemployment? There is a survey that showed that in South Africa, someone said when he asked the kids, what do you learn at school or what is the history of your country, they are able to recite it. But when you ask them what is the history of maybe America or Asia, they say it even much more perfectly than their own country. Like they learn things that they are not supposed to learn or things that is not going to be practical for them to use.
If it's this particular problem, I do accept, but me individually or particularly, I do not accept that you say youth are doing something that they are the source of the problem. No, because something is happening, and what is happening, it just concerns them. Like you said just now, the matter of employment. You do not create.
There are some facts which lead them to be the source of those problems. Let's take the example of the fact that youth today is abusing drug. Like they are using too much drugs and other stuff. So it's a kind of decreasing the development of our country.
Benedict, excuse me. There is a survey made by let me say World Bank in 2011, though the years is 10 years ago. In Senegal, precisely.
Yeah.
40% of the youth who joined, for example, the rebel movement, they say that they joined that particular movement because of lack of, job. Okay? So, that's why I say in the beginning that I do accept, if you say, for example, youth, for instance, there's a matter of unemployment, I do accept they are not doing anything. It's a situation that lead them maybe to become maybe drug users and whatever they are doing.
There's also the fact that is the kind of, let's say, they're always trained for white collar jobs in offices, and that's whereby we can see that there is a problem with our educational system, because this educational system doesn't train the youth in order for them to get a kind of jobs that would make them develop their country, or the kind of jobs that they can even find while on home ground. These are the kind of education that is going to help them get white collar jobs if they go outside. Our education
in Africa, in most of our continents, in countries, in Africa, our education is theoretical. It's not practical, mainly. Like there are just some few private schools. I'm talking about private school. Perhaps there are international schools which practice what they are learning theoretically. So it's a kind of
But not to cut in, but my siblings do go to private schools. For example, when they were going to their school, they were told they will be learning ICT and they would have a lab. But this is the situation whereby their school, they say they will even learn English as well. There is no English. They will learn ICT. Up to today, I've not seen them learn ICT. They don't even have an ICT lab. So it is just like a saying whereby they say they will do practicals and stuff like that, but they don't do practicals. So if you want to talk about practicals, let's go to international schools, for example.
And you just say some teachers right now say that maybe Africans are trained by white mindset, or I don't know, you just say some teachers
exactly
right now.
That they are trained for white collar jobs. They are trained with the mentality.
I'm going to give the example.
Please,
let me give the example.
Just wait.
No,
Let me ask you this question, Lydia. The program that you execute in schools are given by whom?
They are given by the government.
And no, I'm not talking about that program comes from where? I mean, yes. Who are the first givers of that program? For example, if I take my country, for example, Togo. Okay, anyway, nowadays there is a program that is teaching, I mean, our brothers, I mean, the story of their own country. I do remember once again I was a student, I mean, in 21st century, whereby they have been talking to me about the cause and the problem of the Second World War. And the matter is that maybe a prince of a continent that is not even in Africa, that is arrested. And in Africa. The program that we execute in Africa, because you said that we are trained like, white mindset, we are like, the program that... We are not executing a program from our own continent, that is the Africa program.
What she is probably trying to say is we are not educated upon the realities of African continent. We are treated as if we are white, but we are not white. We are black and we are in Africa. Our realities are different.
It's more on the francophone side of Africa. More of the French countries than on the English countries. Because me, for example, I schooled my whole life in Ghana. We learned the history of Ghana in school. Everything is like local. But I came to university in Togo, and I go to university in the first class. The teacher is like, okay, fine. The only difference is that you are doing whatever you did in senior high school in English, as if, okay, what you did in senior high school, you are doing it. So I was expecting to learn the history of Togo or something. And here comes the American civilization, the Britannic, the German, the country is falling down. Togolese are learning things that belongs to Europe, that belongs to the then what are you going to learn about your own continent? And this is something that
this one
brings back development.
A matter of education, I have to relate it to to politics.
How? Explain yourself.
Good. Don't worry.
I'm just listening.
If the politic is free, everything is going, freely. Excuse me to say it. Because our governors, they know pertinent, it is a pertinent problem. They know that what is given to Africans is not going to help them to become to what they want to become to. Do you understand me? Yes. Because even why they themselves, why their children, excuse me, I'm not criticizing, but I'm just making, the point of what is going on.
Their children going.
Yeah, so I want to be protected after all this. Okay? Why are their children not schooling in Africa? Why are they sending their children out of Africa to study, come back and work in the country?
Perhaps it's just because they want those very children to come back and teach you guys who are not able to go outside the world.
Are you serious about that? Because there's also something that I actually read online, and let me see. I'll quote it for you. It was a survey they made in Ghana. People saying the causes of the problems youth face, and then one person was like, I think that the biggest problem facing African youth is the death of competent political leaders as role models, coupled with the stifling environment for the rise of young political leaders. Although there has been a lot of talk and written agreements to enable the youth to participate actively in governance, the general populace is still biased towards older people.
And then let me tell you, let me give you just some small research that I make on something. When you take, for example, Togo, my lovely country.
Hey, please.
No, I'm not going to say anything bad. Our president, okay, he is 55 years old. When you take, for example, Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, he is 77 years old. When you take Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari, he is 78. When you take Benin, Patrick, he's 63. Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, Ouattara, who is 79. Burkina Faso Christian Kabore, who is 64.
So it's like a gerontocracy system. Like they're favoring older people. So it's like the youth are not left out. They're not given the opportunity to express whatever they want in the development of the country.
In some country, I don't want to precise.
Okay, go.
So it's something like when the young people want to talk about politics on media or something like that, they will cancel that very program very fastly. Or you don't have to debate any politics.
Say Togo, for example.
Please, let's take this. No. I'm not going to.
No, we are not. We are not criticizing anybody. We are just taking an example of the realities.
Okay, let me tell you something. I realized something. TVT, when taking the example of TVT, TVT that we watch in Togo here is different from TVT on satellites.
Really?
Like when talking about politics in Togo TVT here, we don't look at it on the satellite TVT.
Really?
I realize
I never
No, really?
but
Really?
we're going to make a research on this one.
Moving on, there is
I'm
a
not
particular thing that
criticizing, no.
So no, we know. Just is a point you make. We are going to make a research on it.
So there's a particular thing that gives me the cost. Like there is a double trouble. Because, for example, let's take the situation of drug abuse. 37,000 people die every year due to drug-related diseases in this situation. And the UN also made mention of the fact that there are 28 million drug users in Africa.
Yeah.
So in this situation, these are the kind of people that are using drugs. At the end of the day, they come and they are rather dependent on the government again to fund them in order to treat their kind of diseases or things related to it. And this,
you see how I can say now, the young people have become source of problem for our continent. You can see.
I say no. I still say no. Because no, if for example, let me say right now I am on New World TV.
Yes.
Means that I'm busy doing something right now. You are busy. I mean, three of us, we are busy doing something right now.
Yes.
So before coming here, even before coming just right now here, I have been taking time thinking about how we talk just right now. How am I going to make it perfect? It means that I didn't have time to thinking about something else. Even if I have time to thinking about something else, I don't have much time to do something wrong or apart from today's just right now. So it means I was concentrated thinking about what I have to do right now.
Yes.
So I don't have time to go and smoke. I don't have time to go and make maybe because I'm busy doing something.
Yeah.
And
if you today they are I mean, they occupy them. This one is like a sort of business for them. They
I think, Marcel, we'll come back to that in the second segment.
As solution. You are giving solutions before the problem.
Okay. And there's also one thing that today, social networking, they say like on average, they use on average 2 hours a day. They spend 2 hours a day on social media. So if you use 2 hours a day on social media, what are you doing on social media? We are not saying don't use social media, but what are you doing during those 2 hours? Are you doing the kind of things that are going to inspire you? For example, you go to school, first of all, the system of education is not good. You come out, you don't get employment, you are unemployed. Now, this unemployment, you go to social media, your friends there, people are doing other things, so they encourage you. You become a drug addict now. You are not a burden on the government. So you can see like it's a chain reaction of events in this situation. So everything is linked to each other in a particular way, which causes the problem.
That issue is leading us to another issue, like lack of orientation. Normally, government should orientate the youth. Like
you are trying to say like their mentality, that's their mentality, right?
Please,
Yes, exactly.
And you just say right now, you are trying to get the solution to the problem. Lovely viewers, please, let's come back after this just short break, and I'm going to continue with the solution of the problems. Thank you. Welcome back from the break. I'm so sorry, by the way, that today, young people, they just spend, let me say, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Just be focused on social network, Facebook, Instagram. And the one that is popular now is a TikTok.
Even TikTok has even
Let me tell you this story. Let me tell you this story. It was just a week before last one, whereby we were debating on something in a group of youth, and we heard that a lady, like she's even in junior high school, right? And she stole 700,000 from her
I
auntie.
understand about
Okay?
that's true.
And then she burned 50,000.
Yes.
And then they use the rest for whatever they want. Okay, anyway, I got the opportunity to call that lady.
She's a very young girl.
Very young. And
Very young
let
girl.
me finish. And I had the opportunity to get her number, and I called her. I even called her boyfriend, and I asked them, is it true that your girlfriend stole money from her aunt, and then you spent that money in a nightclub and all those things? She said, never. That's everything that people are saying is just a story of a story. I said, okay, no problem. I called the lady herself. I said, okay, is it true that you stole your aunt's money? She told me, no. That what people are saying is just like a sort of envy because she's getting much people who are subscribing to her channel and the others are not doing. Yeah, they are making birds. Kind of and even the girl who is saying this thing is because the girl who wants her boyfriend, but since she didn't know the way to do, so she just go and create things on Facebook.
A lot of unnecessary hyping on social media, which is not necessary or healthy in any way.
And I say, what is all those rubbish in that people instead of thinking of something good, they are just focused on things that is useless, that will not help them nowadays. The use of a social network.
Exactly. So I think on this note, this is bringing us to what exactly is the role of the youth in development.
Exactly.
What role are they going to play? First of all, I would say something like the youth, they are like the fresh meat of the society. Mm-hmm. The older generation is soon going to pass away. So they, as the youth, have to maintain things, learn from the older generation so that in case they pass, you will be able to take over the channel or you'll be able to take over the head. Exactly. And in order for you to be able to control. So in this situation, instead of spending time social vices and other things, you should rather take the time now to try to maintain the government that you have or try to learn things from it. And this is a situation whereby I think we'll talk about it in the solutions that government also have to help the youth.
Exactly.
One of the role of youth that I can mention is the fact of be involving themselves in activities that will help the country to be developed, like be innovating.
Exactly.
Innovative. Let's take the example of social medias or networks. They can use those channels to do business online and to have income, and that also can develop the country and the continent as well.
What I find after everything we are saying, that youth in Africa, they don't have that mindset of working together, like working in channel, like working in a community. Let me say, Lydia, Benedict, yes. Martial, why can't we are three here, why can't you bring, for example, 10,000? I'll bring 10,000 and you bring 10,000. Then we work together in order to create something that belongs to ourselves. It means that youth in Africa, normally the role that they have to play is they have to know that they are leaders, and they have to work. When they call somebody, I am a leader, you cannot stand up one day and say, I'm a leader. Who are you leading? It means that you have to lead a group of people. Youth in Africa, they have to remember this one very well, that they are leaders, not the leaders of tomorrow, but the leader who may do something today
that will affect
tomorrow, that will come in
positively.
In Africa,
so they have to do.
We have a lot of resources, but we are not using them to develop our continent.
Exactly.
It's something like, why not taking care of our resources ourselves and using them to do something? Why not consume, for example, local? By instituting some factory that will make some products for us.
Products, using the raw materials to final products that will be used in the country.
And that also reminds me of something, of the fact that today the youth, they always want to go abroad just because there are greener pastures.
They think
if you find an opportunity, are you not going to leave?
Let's put that one aside first. Right now we are talking about the development of Africa. So in this situation, what should the youth do in this situation? Because if you have to go outside, you won't be able to maintain your culture back home. You won't be able to do things back home. So this is the situation whereby as a youth in Africa, your role is actually to help maintain your culture and to develop it.
Exactly.
So instead of thinking of, okay, when will be the easiest time, or how is the easiest way that I can get maybe a visa to go to the States or to go to Asia or go somewhere and go for greener pastures, why don't you rather think of what can I do today to help my community? What can I do? It's not like you're exactly helping them for free, but
Even
try to be innovative.
is not a problem.
Create some kind of things that will help you, like, okay, bring income to you at the same time you are developing the community. So, like, as a youth, you have a crucial role to play.
For that one, going abroad is not really a problem. The problem is when you go abroad and you have the capacity or the ability of developing or doing something for the development of your country, but you go abroad and stay there. Why not go and improve your capacity, your ability, the things that you have, and come back in your country and develop it in your country.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly.
So
okay. And another thing that you have to know that is the main role that youth have to play for their continent or their country or wherever they are is the protection of the country. Youth have to know that, for example, before their country can be protected, they are the ones who are going to play the main role. For example, my grandfather is not going to subscribe, for example, in the army, neither my grandmother. And when we are talking about youth, we have to remind this one very well in the minds of all youth that we are not only talking about youth like a man, but we are talking like a youth, boys, or let me say young men, like young girls. They are all involved in the matter of youthness. Yeah. So if you are talking about the security of the country, you have to know that there are those who have to be involved in that particular country, because if they are not there, those people who are, for example, in the army today, tomorrow they are going to, and
if there is nobody to replace them, it becomes stagnant. No
our
more
country is going to be
their role also is to know that the government is not obliged to do it for us forcefully.
Exactly.
That's what you can do for your country, not what your country or your continent can do for you. Yeah. If everyone see things on that view, we will see that there will be improvement in the way we think, in the way we develop ourselves, and all those stuff. Exactly. And there is something to Booker T. Washington, for example. He used to say, we Africans, we have this capacity, we have that force of working hard, manual jobs to get something. But instead of thinking of it, we think of the white works that we should be in an office.
Excuse me. Why do you take an example of somebody who is from USA, like a Bukati, whatever you said?
No, that person is having or has a good thought. Why not using it?
And I think that's exactly talking about the solutions. What will be the hope for African youth? Our hope is not for us to go looking for the sayings of white people, because their sayings is what affects them. So we ourselves, we should look for sayings of people that are going to help us. We should look for examples of people in Africa that are going to help us in order to develop. So it's not a matter of going. That's mentality. We shouldn't always have the mentality that they have to give us something in order for us to do. If not, we'll keep on learning their history till their kingdom come.
As Lydia said, this is one of the best solutions that we can find to the problem is in Africa. We think that everything that we have to do before we start it, we have to rely on white people. Like you, for example. Instead of take, for example, the example of, let's say, Nelson Mandela.
Okay, sorry. Excuse me.
Africa president, even Nelson Mandela, he says that before I make the sacrifice, or it's like some people make sacrifices before me, and then after me, people will still make a sacrifice. If you go deeply into what, for example, Nelson Mandela say, is it involves a lot of things. So the mentality is we have to stay in Africa. Everything that we have
talking
to do.
About that, I think we should be the change we want to see in the world.
Of course, exactly. You don't have to base our thoughts or whatever we want to do on others people, thinking that they are. Without them, we cannot do anything. This one is not.
So exactly, and there's also the fact that in the situation of economy in development in Africa, there's the fact that there is a rise in consumer spending from 680 million right now, and it's going to 2.2 trillion. So it means that under normal circumstances, it's supposed to increase the amount of income we get in Africa. But on this note, what are we seeing? Just that in 2020 alone, just because of COVID-19, it reduced again by about 40%. So we as Africans, what are we trying to do? We should try to do something serious, something that by, let's say, in 10 years' time, by 2030, we should be able to see the improvement. In this way, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to help rise the consumer spending. So meaning, like what she said before, we should spend home, or we should purchase local things, or try to do intercontinental trade more than outside continents. And there's also the fact that if there are drug abuse, there is crime rate in the country, FDI won't be able to, foreign direct investments will be able to happen in the country. So in order for foreign direct investments to happen in the continent, for us to develop, then we need to make sure our country is safe. So we as the youth also, we need to make sure that we minimize the rate of negative things that we do in order to encourage foreign investments into the country. So that at least by 2030, we'll be able to, let's say it's not the whole African continent that will reunite, but basically in everybody's home country, there will be some improvements and some changes that we'll see that will give us a positive hope for the much further future.
That's why I'm saying that, for example, when they say what is the hope of Africa in 2030, I will say that there is not a global or a whole expectation for Africa in 2030. Because even in Africa, we have two categories of Africa. We have French-speaking Africans and English-speaking Africans.
How about those who speak Spanish and Portuguese?
Okay, anyway, what I know, let me continue with my example. Let me continue. So, French-speaking Africans, even countries within French-speaking Africans are not doing the same thing. And the country among English-speaking Africans, they are not doing the same thing. So we cannot expect. I'm giving a personal viewpoint. We cannot expect something global that it will happen, or something that will change automatically in 2030. But at least I can say from right now up to 2030, at least each country in Africa can improve in something.
Yes, exactly.
Because if we just all focus on saying that, okay, in 2030 something is going to change, it's like, I remember when I was at your university in the English department. When we started the first year, semester 1, people were thinking that, okay, when we will be in semester 6, that will be the third year, our English will become, the best. But I'm so sorry that we reached the third year and people still don't make even one sentence correctly, or making 1 minute of good sentencing.
And there's also another role that has to help, or there's another thing that has to help in the development, which is about the government. In this situation, we saw that government is not really helping. So I think in these situations, NGOs are there in order to help us. So we should try to maximize our views of NGOs, our relationship with NGOs, so that they can help we as the youth in order to improve. Exactly.
NGO are there to play much role, because they can easily find, for example, like a partnership in order to make youth to be, even they don't need to go abroad, but at least to work in their own country. So
and talking of social networking too, I think it's a very good thing, because people can use it instead of using it in the negative ways that we saw before. People can use it this way to try to connect. For example, the app LinkedIn. A lot of you that use Facebook and Twitter and TikTok do not know of the app LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a community whereby people can get a job. You put your CV there, so if someone is looking for somebody with your CV, the app instantly pulls out the kind of people who are better suited for that job. So it's a community for those who are looking for work and those who already have jobs. And there are even free online trainings for skills. Let's say those who do not use Microsoft Word or Excel, it's over there. So these are the kind of things that can help the youth in order to be able to develop.
Okay.
So on this note, I'd like to say that our viewers have learned actually a lot of the things that the youth can be doing in society today, and a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing in order for the society to develop. So in order to have a hope for Africa in 2030, at least we should see some hope. We should manage ourselves in order to do things that will be developing, or that will bring about positive development to our country and to our continent as a whole. So this is the Daily Trend on New World TV Info English. You can catch a repeat on Sundays at 12:15 and at 7:15 p.m. And this show is aired every Wednesdays and Fridays at 12:15 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. Our social media handles are on the New World TV channel, on the Daily Trend playlist, and on Facebook is The Daily Trend at The Daily Trend TDT. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.